Assalamu alaikum, guys. I'm Shafina here with the lovely
NASEEM. Assalamu alaikum.
And on this week's episode of Road to Happiness, we will be talking about knowing your worth.
Interesting one today. I'm looking forward to it.
Very interesting topic. Very, very interesting topic. I mean, what does it actually mean to know your worth?
I think it's something that you have to reflect on and think about. I think it's something that you need to understand as you've gone through different circumstances in your life and understand, did I know my worth then? Did I know my worth with this person? Did I know my worth with this conversation? And actually reflecting and thinking, when this situation comes again, or when I'm about to tackle this situation, you know, I've reflected on it. So I've not overthought it, but I've done some self-reflection and understanding what your worth is, and understanding, you know, from this situation I'm going to walk away because I know my worth. Does that make sense?
So people figure out about knowing their worth once they're in a situation and then realizing it's not for them.
Yeah. Or staying in a situation without knowing their worth and not analysing it for themselves.
So they're not happy in that situation.
And they don't know why.
And they don't know why. And because they feel that they deserve better.
It's something because they don't know their worth. They know something's wrong, but they can't, it's not figure outable for
Right.
them.
Okay, so if you're in a situation and something doesn't feel right, you're not happy about it, and you're not sure why, and it's because you feel deep inside that you deserve more or something better.
Yeah.
And because you don't know that because you don't know what you're actually worth and haven't set a bar or a level, then that's why you're confused and stuck in a situation that you shouldn't be in. Because you put yourself in a situation because you didn't know your worth. If you knew your worth beforehand, then you wouldn't have put yourself in that situation in the first place because you wouldn't even entertained it.
Yes, for sure. And when you see a situation arising where you know your worth and think, wait a minute, this is going to here, and here, and you know, I'm better than that, I'm worth more than that, I need more than that. And it's not a selfish or a greedy or a difficult thing. It's just knowing where you want to put, and everybody's different in that thought process. Where you are in life, where I'm in life, we might want different things out of life, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But as long as you know your own worth, and it's a bar that keeps moving as you go through life, it doesn't stay the same.
Right. So it's not just. So it doesn't stay the same.
It doesn't stay the same.
Okay, so people feel like they deserve more. What makes them think that they should even have or deserve more? Like, yeah, why should they deserve more?
Because if they're putting that XYZ into a relationship and they're stepping up to do what they need to be doing to make that relationship work, and the other person, for example, it's us, we've been together the whole weekend, and like we've been helping each other back and forth to the car, into the hotel, doing things, you know, getting food, doing things. So if it was just me sat here as a guest this weekend, I'm like, oh, you know, I'm the eldest chef, just so you do everything, and then you're thinking, what? Am I like chauffeur for the day? I'm like, what is it for the day? I'm like, you know, bellboy for the day. Like, so you would not have enjoyed this weekend at all, because at every point you've been asking me, hey, what can I do for you? And I've been saying to you, hey, Shaf, what can I do for you? And therefore, you know your worth, but there's a very kind and polite way to be able to execute that. Whereas if the whole weekend I just stayed silent and allowed you to, you'll say, okay, you need to do this, you need to be doing that, and you've been oblivious to the fact that I'm miserable over here, that's me not showing my worth to you, and that's you not caring about my worth. Does that give you a good example?
No, that's a good example. I was just thinking, was I really doing that? I didn't realize. You know, when you just, sometimes you do things, but I suppose that's because you made me feel a certain way that naturally I would just reacted in like wanting to just be helpful. I haven't realized that. Was I really helpful?
You definitely, mashallah, were. So knowing your worth, you want to do more. So if the other person's reciprocating, reciprocating, you automatically think, you know, what can I do for this person? Like that day that I went downstairs to make myself a coffee, and I brought you a water because I knew you're going to want to. What did you get me?
Yeah.
It's the smallest. It's the smallest of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate.
So, and it doesn't have to be large, but being appreciated is part of knowing your worth. How do you feel when someone appreciates you?
I'll do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they appreciate me, then without thinking, you'll go the extra mile, if that's what you call it. It's not that it's an extra mile. It's not even extra mile. You just want to do it. It doesn't feel like you're doing anything extra, but you just feel like wanting to give more. Or not even giving more. You just...
Reciprocate.
Yeah, you just kind of do that.
Give it back.
Basically, reciprocate.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't get my words right.
So there is a fine line between overthinking and self-reflection. So overthinking everything is going to hold you back. It's a self-reflection to advance. So the very, very thin line of self-reflection and overthinking is understanding that boundary and that line. So if you overthink everything, you're second-guessing everything you're doing, even though you're self-reflecting, you're just going too deep, just thinking about it too much. But self-reflecting and knowing your worth is, like, for example, we had a conversation about work and business this morning, and I'm like, wait a minute, if you don't do it like this, where do you want to be in December this year? In order for you to get there, what do we need to do? And you're like, oh, but I don't do that, and that's not for me. I'm like, well, it's pushing you out your comfort zone.
It's definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone, and NASEEM has been helping me about knowing my worth. I think I've been on this journey for a while, just sort of understanding what my worth actually is, and it's something that you don't actually know. So if you don't know your worth right now, I wouldn't say, like, why don't you? But you should probably go figure that out. And maybe you're in a situation yourself and you're not quite happy with it. And I suppose if you're already in something, maybe you can kind of try to communicate that across first. We're not saying leave every situation you're in just because, your worth is not sort of being recognized. But if you figure out what your worth is now and can kind of, like, I guess, communicate that forward.
Definitely. Definitely.
And then
using the sandwich effect.
The sandwich effect, which is saying something nice, saying what you want to fix, and then saying something nice.
Hey, you got it.
I'm learning here with you guys, so it's all about just taking each podcast at a time.
Yeah.
Getting some golden nuggets, and sometimes takes a few times as well to hear it. Like, I think I heard the sandwich effect a few times, 4 or 5 times before I've just gone and said it myself and understood it. I haven't implemented it yet. That's the next stage. All this information's here, and it's about implementing it into your life. So knowing your worth, how would one start to figure that out, by the way, besides being in a situation and realizing they're not happy there, or
okay, so let me give you an example of a case study. One of my clients who recently got matched, her relationship a few years ago, she was in a relationship a few years ago. So again, back to one of the podcasts we've done recently, she married potential, and that potential only lasted 5 months, and most of it was her now going through sessions with me and knowing herself. But she goes like, wait a minute, I stepped up the mark, I was earning a similar salary, I was trying to help her around with the house, I was trying to make sure that his family was okay, but it wasn't being reciprocated. So her thinking about knowing my worth, she goes, I didn't communicate it as well. She goes, so that's where I've realized that I should have sat down and said, look, this is what I need. And by the time I did say that, I was angry and I was upset, and I just fueled the fire. So she was giving me like a real life example of when she did communicate with her husband, like, this is what I need. She realized it at the point where the relationship had already broken down. So when you're getting to know someone is the best chance to, and you can do like, for example, one of the questions I did was somebody who's quite they're like, what I would call myself thrifty. They're like, I don't spend a lot of money. I do well at work. I don't spend a lot of money. I do put some money by for a rainy day. But, when it comes to like my family and things going on, yeah, definitely I spend. So I was asking him, so how would you then put that across to your partner? And he goes, how would I do that? I said, you would just say that, look, let's talk about how financially responsible we are as people, and what would my role be? Would I need to pay for this, and how would I do that? So if I'm spending everything I'm making, then how are we gonna get there as a family? I said, so you can share your worth by saying, look, this is where I want to be. Do you want to be on this journey with me? And you understand if it's finances, and yeah, there'll be some things that you'll do more than your partner, and there'll be other things that he'll do things. So she goes, things that he was good at was definitely taking care of her when she wasn't well, definitely paying attention on her. And she goes, maybe part of it wasn't that I didn't lead him to say, look, let's spend time with my family, let's spend time with my sibling.
Mm.
What he did all the time, you know. Maybe she goes, I should have done that. She goes, I have learned lessons, but overall, the biggest thing that and I'm realizing as I'm going through my sessions is I didn't know my worth. And now as I'm going through the discovery process with you, I'm learning my worth and I'm learning how to communicate my worth. Interesting.
Very, very interesting, especially the communicating your worth.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very, very important. That's something I probably need to learn myself, to be honest. Like, no one's perfect and we're all learning on this journey, and this is why I'm in touch with Naseem as well. Like, obviously we're working together doing these podcasts, but it's about learning as we go along, and it's okay not to know everything. It's okay to maybe just figuring this out now, or if you listen to this podcast and never even thought about knowing your worth, definitely something to look into for sure. And I suppose we should have done this sooner rather than later, but it's okay.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
And I think these things aren't taught growing up, unfortunately. Hopefully this generation it is, but for all these years I don't think it wasn't taught. It was just when you get to finish university, and then you must get married, and that was it. That's for me anyway. It was just like, yeah, you get married.
That's it. The end.
I was like, okay,
you get married. The end.
You get married, and I didn't hear anything else after that. It wasn't like, yeah.
So I think relationships in general, like even now when I do my discovery calls and I speak to clients and have different conversations, one of the conversations I ask is, what is the important things you want to teach your children? Like what's important for you in your family environment? And they always say things like book smart and street smart and happy childhood, and having a plan, making sure that they're mentally, emotionally, financially stable, and kind of self-sufficient, which I like. So the type of people I work with have that mindset already, and they're aware that they want to teach their children, whereas a lot of parents might have that within them, but they've just allowed their child to grow up without giving those key skills. And I'll be honest, majority of people that come to me, people don't really talk about relationships, are not really taught anywhere. And parents will just use their own example. Oh, this is what happened to me back in the day, and they're using in 2023, they're using the same methods and habits that 30 years ago was happening for them. So
it's a different time.
Yeah,
that's the other thing as well. I mean, I suppose we can go that into a different podcasts, but it's really important as well. I mean, in terms of, say, with knowing your worth, also teaching the next generation to know their worth too. So maybe you have kids already, and maybe you're going to start your know your worth journey now. Maybe do that with your children too. So anything, because it's important. If they start now, you don't want them to wait until they're older to then figure it out. And you can learn as a family, and even if your partner too, both of you.
We had guests in the family, and there was I think their daughter must have been 8-9 years old. And the dad was saying, say Salam to Khala, ask her how her day's going, what she's been up to. Like, he's teaching her how to communicate with adults.
That is really good.
Instead of just running through playing with the rest of the kids and playing with the toys. For a good 10 minutes, she had this conversation about, and she's been homeschooled. So she's like, we did this trip and we were learning about this, and what's your thoughts on that? And I was like, are you really 8? Are you really 8? It was just amazing.
That's the thing. Kids can learn so much. I mean, I've spent some time in Pakistan, and the kids there, I mean, they're so advanced. They're almost like little adults.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really nice, and they're so wise. I feel, but they're just thrown into there. You need to learn this. You need to do this, and I think that's amazing. And I think we baby kids a lot here. That's another topic altogether. But another day. Yeah. Knowing your worth.
So what's the sort of key things you've taken away from today's conversation, would you say, Shah?
I feel just sharing about knowing your worth, and it's never too late to figure that out. I'm personally on that journey myself. I'm still figuring out certain things and taking my time with it. I'm not afraid to admit that it's taken me a while. I didn't know it before. I think people that knew me from a long time ago knew, my mom anyway, my sister, they knew that, what's wrong with this girl? She's not understanding. But you get there in the end, and that's what it is. Everyone's journey is different and unique. I think we spoke about that last time. Yeah. Different journeys are unique, and I feel like knowing your worth before you go into something is probably better, because then you're not going to go into something that you're then going to realize, oh, I don't want to be here. So I think it's important for me, say if you are single right now, you know, we can relate and just get to know you first. Know what it is that you actually want and what you're okay with. No, I don't like to use the word settling with, but knowing that what you won't settle with, I guess. Just know, like, okay, this is not me and this is what I actually want. Knowing that, making it clear, because then you can kind of filter through. I feel like, so you're not going to waste your time on, I guess, getting to know people that you just know that aren't for you. And that's okay. I'm not saying people are higher or lower than each other, but just everyone's different. Everyone's on different paths, and I feel like it's important to know what path you are on and what you will be fine with. And once you know that, then the next thing is communicating it to the person that you're getting to know. And if they're not okay with that and this and that, then okay, cool, next. You know, and I think that's a better way to go about it. So.
Yeah, digging deeper into yourself. You know, so if you want to start and you've never done self-reflection and you're not sort of that, what is my worth, you know, whether it comes to you've got a job for work, what you should be earning, or how you want to be treated, or what your environment should be like, or what's your standard of a good life. That's knowing your worth and feeling comfortable within your own environment. So pen to paper, write it all down, different situations. How did you feel? Did you handle that well? And journaling is a really, really good way of building up your own self-confidence and knowing your own self-worth, and then confidently being able to say, actually, that's really cool, but I don't think I can do that. And even from the Deen perspective, within a relationship, you've got equality. And yes, you can sit down and say, look, this is what I'm bringing to the table. You know, I understand this is what you're bringing, but these are the things that I can meet you in the middle. These are the things I need more of from you. And these are the things that I'm going to offer you back. And start to at least be on the journey. Maybe you don't have a result yet, but if you don't start it, you'll always be in the status quo of, right, I'm unsure, and then you'll be allowing life to happen to you rather than taking life by the jugular and saying, this is a life I want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's kind of this on. Unless you've got any more questions for me?
I have something to say, actually. It just kind of pops into my head. Sometimes there might be people out there that that have been possibly in a cycle, and you're constantly feeling like you keep meeting the wrong people. And I feel that might have to do with knowing your worth. That's something. Maybe I'm speaking for myself.
Interesting.
It just kind of hit me right there.
So give me a clarity on that then. So I don't know, rewind whatever 6 months, a year back, and you're in a certain position in life. What things did you have to do, or was it through our sessions? Maybe I'm just trying to think. Where did your breakthroughs of think? Wait a minute, I am worth more. I do need to think about this. I do need my future partner to be X, Y, Z. Like,
I think just I feel like I wasn't happy. And so that was a big indication, and I couldn't understand because, you know, people are like, oh, what's wrong, you know, and there were certain things. And I feel that maybe perhaps, 100% I didn't know my worth. I'm on the journey of figuring that out now. It has taken me a little while. My friends are proud of me though. The things that people are going to support you, they're going to be happy for you, alhamdulillah. And it's taken some time. And I think the same lesson was just hitting me over and over in anything in life. If there's something that you haven't quite learned, and by the way, this is a side note, that lesson will keep hitting you until you actually go, okay, lesson learned, because God is there, I feel like, to teach you. The signs are there, pay attention to them. So I feel the sessions that you've done to help me you just kind of listened and heard me out. And now I think we were talking about it this weekend. You were like, oh, Shaf, you were like this before, and now look at you. And I forget what I was like, but you've seen it from the outside perspective. Obviously, I was in where I was, and I couldn't see from the outside. But now looking back, I'm like, who was that girl? Like, I don't know who that Shafina doesn't even exist anymore. Alhamdulillah. So I feel, the sessions have helped, and it's taken time.
So you've got empowerment, encouragement, self-worth, self-discipline.
So discipline is something important.
Future focus. And all of those are connected to self-worth.
Right.
So you've had a shift in all those areas as you've been going through your sessions.
I have indeed. All these areas. The self-discipline is something I share on my socials as well. Whether I'm going, to the gym and saying no to the donuts. I have some friends that love to eat these donuts, and I'm now saying no when I hang out with them. No to the donuts, because I don't need those donuts really. But it's all because of the bigger, better picture that you want to improve yourself on, and obviously knowing what you're worth, and it's all part of it together.
And you're quietly confident. It's not like you're out there banging a big drum to say, I know my worth.
No, it's
style,
just kind of done subtly.
Yeah.
And I don't need to.
And just a look will tell you, by the way, sorry, this isn't happening. Do you get me?
Yeah, everything's on my face.
Yeah, you just say, look, this isn't gonna go nowhere.
Yeah.
Or what you've just said, that's not okay with me.
Yeah.
Again, sandwich effect, but
and not
at least being sorry to speak over you, but being brave enough to share it, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say not to feel afraid of actually saying, hey, you know what? That's not for me. And I feel like that was something that was missing for me before, and I feel like because I didn't know my worth, that I was afraid to speak up, and instead I just didn't know how to handle with it, and I'd just stay in this withdrawn, miserable shell, and now I'm like, okay, I know what I feel like I deserve. I'm working on that myself for that, and leveling myself up and everything around me, including the mindset. It's taken work, it's taken tears, it's taken just so much stuff. It makes I don't want to mess up my makeup, but
so knowing your worth, Shah, for you, has it been? There's a plan? Are you writing it down? Have you got a step by step? Like how are you improving your self-worth as you obviously you came a long way from where you were, but obviously you've got the more of your journey to go, right?
Yeah, so definitely I have a whole bunch more, but in 2022, to be honest, I was I had this planner. I didn't order it this year, but I had a planner, and it every month had like a thing where you evaluate how the month went, and it had the chart of different areas, your finances, your sort of family relationships and things like that, your health, your money. I said finance already. Spiritual. There was like 1 to 10 chart.
As well.
Yeah. So all of that was there, and so I was trying to make it reach up to the 10. You know what I mean? Because it was very low in the 1s and 2s. So I was measuring myself every month, looking back and reflecting on each month like that. This year has been a very different year for me, and then obviously the Miss Pakistan and
mashallah.
everything, mashallah, alhamdulillah. But it was all that.
Congratulations! We haven't even said that. Miss Pakistan over here, by the way, mashallah. Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. All part of the knowing yourself, self-worth. It's all there,
Yeah, definitely. I think a year ago, there's no way I would have applied or think that this could be a possibility. But I feel everything that I was working on for the past year, privately as well within myself, and just observing and kind of going through things and along the journey as well, I think of knowing your worth. You're probably not going to make everyone happy, and that's something that's the biggest way to fail, I feel like, in life, trying to make everyone else happy. You've got to just figure yourself out, know your worth, and once you know that, I think you save a lot of headache and issues, and you save a lot of time. So just work on that first, if there are any sort of sisters or brothers here.
But the thing is, if it's not for you, isn't it much smarter to gracefully exit that situation than put yourself in a situation where you're not happy, or it's bringing you down? Again, there's a hadith of you fly with the crows, you get shot with the crows. You hang out with the perfume smeller, you'll smell a perfume. You hang out with a blacksmith, you'll smell a smoke. Same sort of mindset.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
That and then we watched that video this morning on the power of words. So
we'll save that's for another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Yeah,
but it was really cool though, wasn't it?
It was
Amazing.
really good.
Very motivational. It's good.
So in short, it's important to know your worth.
Yes. And if you're not already thinking about it, you're not already, even after this video, we suggest switch off the phone, go for a walk, think about your life, where you're at, where you've came from, and what does the future look like for you? What is the self-worth? What kind of people do you want to hang out with? What's direction in life? What kind of person do you want to marry? What kind of friends do you want around you? Where do you want to be financially? Where do you want to be emotionally? All of that's connected to your self-worth.
And write it down. I just remembered something.
Oh, cool. Let's hear it.
Oh, it's a bit silly. I think it's with some of my other work that we do. But I have drawn a little stick figure person
Okay.
and written what characteristics and things
Mm-hmm.
that I would want in that person.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that, so I have actually written it down.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hidden away somewhere.
It helps, and that's all in your needs and wants as well.
Yes.
So if you attach your needs and wants to that figure person, then when you're having those conversations, you'll be able to relate and connect, because what you need and want is in that stick person, but maybe out there conversations wise you're finding that you're making the connection. Yeah,
so I'm knowing what I want, and I'm going out there to, that's what because I know what I'm wanting, I know what I'm looking for, I know what my worth is. That's what I'm sort of looking out there. So if anything else comes away and it doesn't fit into what I know of to be what I'm going to be accepting, I won't now go that way.
It's good. That's huge progress, mashallah.
Huge progress.
Huge progress. Excellent. So we're gonna give it a wee salams and end this episode of Road to Happiness for today. Thank you all of you for listening. Thank you for sending the questions in. We love it. It gives us the inspiration to be able to do our future podcast. There's always like loads to talk about and loads to share with you. And genuinely from our hearts, like, you know, this is a passion project for us. Whoever's out there listening to us, even if one word from any of the podcasts we do can make that small shift in you knowing yourself, is totally worth every second for us. So we want this for you.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to this podcast. If you found this beneficial, give this video a like and hit the subscribe button to be notified for the next episode.